Welcome back to another week of Just Jossin. I am half of your host, Sabrina Hannon.
And I'm the other half, Jasmine Heron. This week we are going to be discussing Season 3, Episodes 17 and 18, which is Enemies and Earshot.
Yes, these are well, enemies is a big one. Earshot, but I mean, Earshot's big in the Buffyverse for other reasons.
Yep. So when I was in high school, one of my friends gave me Season 3 on DVD, and she specifically wanted me to look at certain episodes that she felt were like the most important to her. And the two that she specifically pointed out were the Zeppo and Earshot.
I guess it especially makes sense, Earshot being the time that we were going to high school, although now school shootings have branched out to all grade levels.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm very sad. I don't think I actually had any fun facts for Enemies. I think I just jumped right into the content. I have failed us all.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
the only thing that I have is that, it's not really a fun fact, is that the monster that we see, the sorcerer, appears to be the same one that Spike goes to see in season 6.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll have to see if they drop his name in season 6. But yeah. So when Enemies opens up, I have a question. Are Angel and Buffy coming from a smut film?
I think, or a French film. But it was called Le Banquet d'Amelia, which is the Feast of Amelia, or like the Banquet of Amelia. I thought like it was supposed to be maybe like a parody of like Chocolat or something. But
it's definitely, there's definitely sex involved. We know that.
Yep.
And food in that one scene.
That one scene with the food.
Yes. Yeah. They don't show smut films around here.
I don't think it was supposed to be smut. I think it was supposed to be French.
They also don't show French films around here. Pennsylvania is not as cultured as Sunnydale. 1 second. Oliver, stop that. He was humping my sweater.
Was that the noise?
No, that was my phone, which reminded me to use that. Olive, it's so weird. So weird.
He's the other reindeer. All of the other reindeer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he is stopped now. Not the sweater I'm wearing, obviously. It's sweater over there.
I was imagining him humping like your reindeer Christmas sweater.
No, it's just a plain sweater. I guess he likes the texture of it. He's very drawn to texture. He's fixed, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, so Buffy.
So Buffy, Angel, leaving a French film that has a lot of sex in it, and Buffy's like, I don't want to rub your face in. And she's like, where does that phrase come from? But I thought it was coming from like rubbing a dog's nose, and it's,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But anyways, he says that he doesn't need a film to get worked up. Just being around her does the job, sort of thing. And but he's not going to lose control. And so they start with the smooching, and Faith shows up and makes a comment. And I feel like we're still seeing a bit of tension between Buffy and Faith, because Faith seems to be making overtures of, hey, let's talk about you and Angel. And Buffy says, when it comes to Angel, I want you, like, and then she says duck, because obviously demon.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, Buffy is not really opening. The only person she really talks to about Angel with is Willow. That's really it. But also, like, sometimes we can tell when someone isn't being genuine with us, like when they're holding something back. So that makes us not want to open up to them either. And Faith has a completely separate life happening right now. So I don't really fault Buffy for not opening up about Angel at this point. You could definitely do it, several episodes back. But right now, it's kind of the right call.
Well, I mean, I agree, but I also feel like from the stance of where Buffy is, what Buffy currently knows. Like, we know, okay, Angel, like, not Angel, Faith has definitely gone to the dark side. She's plotting against them, bad, bad, bad. But from Buffy's perspective, Faith went through a bad thing, and they're like, but we have faith in Faith. We have faith in Faith. Like, we believe that she can still be good, but then are still being really snippy towards her. And how do you rehabilitate someone when you're, icing them out the entire time?
I would argue that she's only really icing Faith out in regards to Angel things. And so Faith doesn't talk romance, she talks sex. Buffy's not comfortable with that. And that's okay. Like, if you don't want to talk about that with anyone, you don't have to. And Buffy has been very consistent with telling Faith she doesn't want to talk about, like, her and Angel. Like, this isn't new. She's not really icing her out. And again, she only mentions Angel things like that to Willow. Nobody else. It's not like she's talking about it with Xander. Although I'd kind of like to see that conversation.
Yep. Anyways, so this demon named Skylar offers to sell them the Books of Ascension. And they're like, this means nothing to us. Of course, Faith, it means more to Faith than it means to, but they're like, oh, Mayor, okay. So he says that, he'll get in contact with them, or they'll meet up to discuss $5,000 for
a plane ticket. He wants out.
Yep.
And a $5,000 plane ticket will get you very, very out. Very, very away. Also, as I'm watching this, like, the actor, Eliza Duca, am I saying? Yeah, is a great actress. Faith, however, is a bad actress. If Buffy had been looking at Faith during any of that, she would have known Faith was lying her ass off.
Which is why, I mean, Giles said the same thing. He's like, I know that Faith was lying.
Not a good liar, which is so interesting because she has had a life where she has to lie for things. She should actually be a much better liar. So then immediately we jump to Faith telling the mayor all about the demon, Skylar, and the Books of Ascension. And the mayor wants those dang books.
Just go kill the guy.
Yeah. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Also, the mayor just has milk sitting out. It's gross. Like, that should be refrigerated. Who likes warm milk?
Well, I mean, maybe he specifically brought it out for that, like, situation. Like, maybe, like, I feel like he, like, brought it out, was like, let's have milk and cookies, and now put it away. Like,
I don't, it's just sitting there on the table. It's just sitting there. And I was like, ugh. I don't like drinking milk on its own to begin with. So the idea of it just also sitting there
Uh-huh.
Just so unappealing to me.
Well, I mean, yes, but then also now I'm wondering, because like we have become very used to milk in the refrigerator, but people used to get milk delivered daily, fresh, and like you didn't have really a fridge to keep it in. You just had it out on the counter and drank it. And Mayor Wilkins is over 100 years old. Like maybe that's just the way he drinks his milk, because
It might be, but you would think with his germ thing, he would have caught up on that. Also, what he's saying about it giving you strong bones, the information on that has,
that has definitely changed. And milk, I've heard and read and listened to many arguments against drinking milk, which I'm totally down with. But I'm just saying that Mayor Wilkins is over 100 years old, and maybe he has certain ingrained,
he may have milked the cow himself for the milk.
like, maybe it's demon milk. Maybe it's special ultra pasteurized demon milk.
Did they milk Skylar? Don't forget to get his milk before you kill him, Faith. Okay, I'm sorry I said that. Now I have visuals. Anyway. Don't milk Skylar.
I'm jumping ahead to the aspect of the demon. What if it's a boy demon?
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. So then we have Buffy telling the Scoobies and Wesley about the books of Ascension and all that jazz.
Yep.
And
so they're asking about the Ascension, and Wesley's got nothing, and Giles has nothing, and then Willow's like, "Oh yeah, that book that you were hiding from me."
mm-hmm.
It mentions it, and like the fact that she can specifically remember what book, the name of the book, and like one sentence from the book is.
I kind of wonder if one of the reasons she remembers it is because it's in his special, like, hidden thing. Like, if it was just like a regular book, maybe she wouldn't have remembered it so much. But if you get your paws on something that you're not supposed to have, you tend to, like, lock that information away differently.
And then Xander immediately is like, engravings in the secret hidden books. And she's like, no magic.
Yeah. And I just love that Giles is doing the father thing. He's just like, you're not ready for this. I'm hiding this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Xander being a boy is like, porn? My dad hides porn. I am Xander Harris. But while this is going on, Cordelia shows up and asks Wesley out on a date, basically, to go over her English paper because he speaks English.
Yep.
That's not how English works.
And I mean, Xander is feeling uncomfortable about this. He is, and I think this goes back to the fight that we had last week about feelings and behaviors. And Xander definitely does not hide his feelings.
And it's weird because with this, it is the relationship between Cordelia and Wesley is meant to be creepy. And it comes off that way. So Xander bringing that up, there's nothing wrong with that. However, I think it's the next episode. Yeah, it's an Earshot where he refers to Cordelia as my Cordy. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not concerned about. I mean, he mentions that Wesley has his creepy eyes on her, but then
straws and eyes. But no, like I was talking about, like he goes off sulking basically, which is when Faith and Angel punch him in the face, is because he's off, mopey and grumpy and venting about.
Well, he gets really excited to see Angel and Faith and then gets punched in the face. It's the first time he's ever really been, well, it's not the first time he's ever been excited to see Angel, but one of them. And he gets punched. And
the last time was Earshot. Not Earshot, Zeppo.
Yeah. We'll get more into the punch in the face soon, but I just love that scene. Yeah, so in the library, Wesley also questions, like, well, where is Faith? Why isn't she here? And of course, she has gone. She's off killing the demon. She breaks in his door, and this poor demon, like, he's not very demony. I mean, he looks it, but he's not mean. He doesn't appear to be bad. He just wants the hell out of there.
He's the Willy. He's the Willy the Snitch of the demon world.
Well, Willy the Snitch does try to get Angel and Buffy killed.
But like, I mean, like, but like he's just very low level, kind of.
Yeah, he's trying to make a living, and he's trying to get the hell out of there. He's an antique dealer, basically, of the demon world. Like, used books, that's what he's got. And he gets murdered for it. Like, she stabs him several times, doesn't die, and then she has to fight him and, like, really stab him a whole bunch, and she gets blood on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses the blood on her hands as a tactic with Angel.
Yep.
So she goes, I assume, drops off the books with the mayor, goes over to Angel's, with the blood on her hands, and she says about how it's demon blood, and she tries coming on to Angel, and Angel's like, no, no, that's not, we're friends. We can only be friends. I'm with Buffy. Angel handles it all very, very well. And so Faith hugs Angel, and then Buffy sees this.
Well, I think
Buffy
she kisses him on the cheek, like she.
And Buffy at that point, like, does not talk to Angel about it. She just skulks away, which is about on par for a teenager. Like, it's about on par. So then we see Faith is at the mayor's, and we find out that this was a whole setup. Like, she was going to try and seduce him to get him to lose his soul. I don't think either the mayor or Faith realize that, like, it's a pretty Buffy specific thing. Like, I think Angel probably could have had sex with Faith and not lost his soul.
Well, we actually see that in Angel, the TV show, later.
Yeah.
There's a time where he has sex with Darla, and he's like, that wasn't perfect happiness. And, yeah, also, like, I think that they have kind of conflated the idea of orgasm with perfect happiness. And orgasm is not perfect happiness. Like,
I'm sure Angel's having plenty of those on his own.
Like, I even don't think it was so much the sex with Buffy. It was the feeling of, like, completeness and, like, lying in bed with her after sex, that post-coital bliss that was his moment of happiness. Like, because he didn't turn mid-orgasm. It wasn't like, and I mean, like, it was afterwards when they were lying in bed together and that he turned. So I really think that they've kind of, the people around them have kind of missed the mark as to what the actual trigger is. They say a moment of perfect happiness. That's not orgasm.
Yeah, and, like, 100%, like, what happened when Angel and Buffy did have sex is definitely one of the reasons why she doesn't want to talk. Like, that whole thing was a very traumatic experience for her. And Faith has shown herself previously not to be a safe person to have those conversations with and to be vulnerable with. Willow is.
Yeah.
Willow and Giles pretty much so are the two, and she's not having detailed conversations like that with Giles. Although I'm sure Giles probably realizes, like, because he's also an adult, and he's like, orgasms aren't your perfect happiness. Like, it's the love that comes with it. And I'm sure Giles has pieced that together. But thankfully, they don't rope Giles in on their evil plans.
Anyway,
So yeah.
the mayor is talking to this like sorcerer. This like sorcerer is covered in shrouds, and he's offering him a breath mint, and they're low calorie.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're gonna try skinning. There's more than one way to skin a cat, which the mayor knows personally is true, which I don't want to know any more about personally. Um, so he's just going to have Angel's soul ripped from him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and while that's all going on, Buffy is talking to Wesley. Wesley doesn't want Buffy going to the demon Skylar by herself, wants Faith with her. And Xander actually came through and got the address from Willie the Snitch and gave him like, I think he said $20 or something.
23?
28, something like that. And he's like, does the council reimburse for that? And Giles goes, do you have a receipt? And he's like, damn it. Like that is, and Giles is being 100% honest. Like apparently if Xander came with a receipt, he would have been reimbursed, which hopefully Xander remembers for the next time. Which I hope Xander has been saving his donut receipts because really the council should be reimbursing him for that.
The council should be giving them a freaking stipend.
Right? Yeah.
Here is your demon fighting stipend. Like, there are all these rich, snooty old, like, white English guys.
Yep.
Like, where are they getting their money? Because they seem to have money. They're just not giving it to Giles.
Yeah. No money to Giles or Wesley. Maybe they have it, like, maybe they just send them suits.
And it just suits.
Yeah. Like, you're going to need these for some reason. But yeah, Faith shows up at that point, and like Buffy hasn't talked to anyone, I think, other than Willow at this point about what she saw, and is not happy with Faith, does not trust her, which is an instinct she should go with,
Uh-huh.
and she does, but
The
they,
whole, she says to Willow, I saw this thing, and Willow's like, would never. And she's like, Faith wouldn't. And Willow's like, Faith would.
yeah,
Faith totally would. Faith definitely would. Angel wouldn't.
yeah, Angel definitely would not. He is 100% Team Buffy, and Willow says she just needs to talk to Angel.
Mm-hmm. I give you leave to go.
Yeah, and because Angel also is not a teenage boy, so adult men are far more likely to talk to you about their feelings, unless they're Oz, in which case they're a teenager and you can just talk to them. But Oz is a unicorn among werewolves. So, um, but yeah, so Faith and Buffy go. Obviously, Faith has already been there. And she just like walks in too. Again, not a great actress because Buffy's like, hello, what are you doing? And he's dead. Faith doesn't want to look around or investigate. She's like, we got to get out of here.
Yep.
And I think that probably really tipped Buffy off. At that point, that's, something was going on with Faith.
And
Because,
she says, this is someone's idea of a party.
Mhm.
And I feel like she recognizes it's a, like this is a Faith type kill.
Yeah, definitely. Because we've seen Faith take her anger out before on demons or vampires. And so Buffy is at school again, I think is what we're meant to believe while this next scene happens, which is Faith going back to Angel, and being again weird, trying to like apologize for the other night and doing the like routine of, well, now you don't trust me. And when she's able to play on that guilt of Angels, he walks closer to her and she throws blood on him and says like sucker.
Yep.
And
Or chump. You said
chump.
it.
Yeah. And that's when our blue demon friend walks out and starts with the light show and stripping Angel's soul from him. And sure enough, as soon as Angel comes down, he pops back up full vamp face and viciously kisses Faith,
Mm-hmm. But
which
then
she,
tries to kill her.
oh yeah, which is Angelus through and through.
Yep.
Like that's how Angelus operates. Um, I think like had this actually been Angelus, it would have gone very much so the same way, except I think he would have been a more testy with it all. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he would have gone along with it as well as Angel playing Angelus did. But so they have a fight, and again we see Angelus kicking the shit out of Faith. Someone again that Buffy has beaten before. Even when, and I remember the first time watching this, even when she's like on top of him, he's not using his one arm.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to stake him, and he's only using one arm. Like he doesn't need to even use two arms to stop her.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
and
Dallas is very sexually aggressive. So
mhm,
like when he's she's on top of him, with the stake, and he's just like, I just want you to wriggle. Like
yeah,
these are things that Angel doesn't say. It's very. I feel Angelus does wield sex and sexuality as a weapon,
hmm,
which Faith does too.
yes. And I think Angel, when he was human, did as well, just
Mm,
not very well.
yeah.
Um, so they go over to the mayor's office. Um, oh, well, before that, Willow says there's nothing in the mayor's files, right? Because Faith had tipped him off. So all of his electronic files have been moved. She can't get to them. So they realize they have to go to the actual
Hall of Records.
Hall of Records. And Oz is the one who mentions this actually, which is weird. You'd think it would be one of the librarians that would be like, yes, forget this computer nonsense. But no. Um, so Faith, Angel, and the mayor in his office. Angel picks up this letter opener as the mayor's talking, and with the mayor's permission, basically tries to kill him. Finds out that he can't, and they do that thing with the mayor's hand where it heals up, and that's always stuck with me. I don't know why, but that's when I think of this episode. That image of the mayor holding up his hand and the wound healing shut has
Mm-hmm.
always stuck in my brain. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one.
No. I mean, it's a really good scene, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the one where he tells Angel, "I'm impervious. I'm
Mm-hmm.
impervious until the
The
ascension."
ascension. Mhm. And he also tells Angel or Angelus that he wants him to be Faith's boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
which it's also weird with that. Um, so he says, torture, maim, kill. That's what he wants to do to Buffy. Um,
But don't kill Buffy too fast. We don't want a new Slayer like right away. Although I don't think they realize that Faith is now the Slayer line.
yeah,
But Buffy's
yeah,
offshoot.
exactly. Like if something happens to Buffy, which does happen later on, um, it doesn't call a new Slayer. Faith has to die for that.
Yep.
But yeah, the mayor doesn't quite understand how Slayers work. He doesn't understand the soul thing either, clearly. So even though he's really old, he doesn't necessarily understand everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important at this point to realize Faith is suddenly completely okay with Buffy being tortured and then killed.
Yep.
Like it's gone from 0 to 100 on that. And I don't think I it's very much so a jealousy issue, as we find out that she has just been harboring since she showed up in Sunnydale.
Yep.
Um and while I can understand some of it, what do you expect when you, like, if you're the new person, you're not, like, they do accept her, but, like, it takes some time to build those relationships. It took time for Buffy to build those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do horrible things to those people in the like, when you show, not long after you show up, you're gonna harbor some resentment from those people. I think if Faith had given it more time, like we see much later on, she would have had a completely different life. Well, we had talked about this in a previous episode. Like, there is Faith is on a path where she's going to clearly be accepted with the Scoobies, but then when we get to the episode of like Bad Girls, things spin completely out of control.
Yeah.
And this is when we see the Xander walking around and him seeing Angel and Faith and punched right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And Angel says, "That guy really bugs me."
Mm-hmm.
And that is Angel saying, "That guy really bugs me, and I've always really wanted to punch him in the face." And now he's gotten to.
And now he gets to. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it must be nice to slip into an alternative persona that gets to do all the things that you wish you could do, but because of social, the social contract, you can't.
And I'm sure Angel also, even if it wasn't for that, he's like, "I don't hurt humans. I'm not going to do this just because this human bugs me." I'm sure that's like running through his head constantly. And then he's like, "But I can do it now." Punch.
So, I think it's Oz that brings the picture to Willow, and he's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Hey, oh hey, like big hey." They realize that Mayor Wilkins is, the original Mayor Wilkins. Mayor Wilkins III is actually the original Mayor Wilkins from 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I just love that. Well, he's not human.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
he might be, or might have originally been human and just done enough sorcery type things.
well,
Like,
it's Giles. I'm just repeating Giles's line
yeah,
of that. Like, well, he's certainly not human. Like, when they're like, "What is he?" Because he's not now. Like, whatever like, humans don't live that long and stay that young. Like, whether he traded his soul or whatever he did, he is no longer. It's like Anya. Well,
yep,
now she's human again, but so Faith and Angel head over to Buffy's as Buffy was packing up her stuff,
mm-hmm.
and like Angel compliments Joyce, and they go on up, and just being real weird. Um, Angel takes Buffy's bag of weapons from her, being chivalrous.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the mansion where they say the books of Ascension are. And then they knock Buffy out.
Yep.
And Angel says, "Oh, she's so cute when she's sleeping," because Angelous has watched her sleep a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, it is well documented. And we also know that Angel has seen her sleep quite a bit, which also, it's weird, Edward Cullen. It's weird.
So
Um,
Buffy ends up in Drusilla's sex chains.
mhm.
Everybody ends up in Drusilla's sex chains.
And before that, there's a conversation with everyone at the library, minus, Faith, Angel, and Buffy. And there's like arguing about what has happened with like the mayor and everything. And I think it's Xander, like, who is saying, like, this is really Wesley's fault. And Cordelia's like, "This isn't Wesley's fault. This most certainly is Wesley's fault that that Faith has gone rogue. Like, they had it under control. Wesley's the one who forced Faith down this path as much as one can force someone down a path. She's still the master of her own destiny, but Wesley really screwed up and potentially could have ruined Faith's life. and many, many others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yes, this, especially as a watcher, like it's his job. He would be, this is a fireable offense. Like this is his fault. Um, but so now we're back in the mansion and Buffy is waking up
Mm-hmm.
and Buffy is kind of trying to reach out to Faith still within this and saying like, you don't know what you're doing, like and Angelous is just going to try and kill you eventually, just so you're aware. Like once he's done with me, you're going to die. Like this is an angel.
Yeah.
And like I don't think that really clicks with Faith because she didn't get to see the whole Angelous killing everyone you care about thing.
Yep.
And since Faith thinks she has the upper hand, she is just spilling all of the details.
Mm-hmm.
Like criminals tend to do when they think they have the upper hand for some reason.
Gang.
Yeah. And like just like gloating. She is just gloating over Buffy.
Well, I mean, so she's gloating, but she's also, like Buffy goads her even from the chains. She
Mm-hmm.
says, "You had to chain me up to beat me. You had to use a spell against my boyfriend to get him to lose his soul." Like, she's really digging into Faith, and she's doing it masterfully to get Faith
Mm-hmm.
to show her hand.
Yeah. And also everything she's saying is true. And Faith knows it.
Yep.
Like like Faith couldn't woo Angel on her own. Faith could not have like could not just slip right into Buffy's life. She tried, it didn't work. So I think those tend to be like the digs that hurt the most, right? The ones that we know are true.
Yep.
Those are the, because if someone's just saying crap to you that isn't true, you're not going to react like how Faith reacts with violence. Um, and Buffy asks Faith why she's doing this. And that's when she does the whole "you had to tie me up to beat me" thing also to Faith. But Faith says, like, I came to Sunnydale. It was supposed to be my town, which kind of doesn't track because she knew Buffy was there, right? She was
Yeah.
running away, looking for an escape, looking for help without saying it. So that doesn't really track.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the idea of she didn't know what she didn't have until she saw Buffy
Yep.
and met Buffy. And it's jealousy. That's what it boils down to.
Well, I think, she's supposed to be my town, but also the idea that there's only ever one Slayer at a time.
Mhm.
And she's like, it's like stepping into a role and then being told that the previous person hasn't vacated the role and that you are going, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to be the new quarterback or whatever." And then someone's like, "Actually, you're not the new quarterback. You're, you know, you're the replacement if our actual favorite star quarterback can't run anymore, has decided to stay on an extra season."
I mean, Kendra didn't react that way, but also Kendra didn't stay in the same place.
Yep.
Nothing's requiring Faith to stay there. Like, I would think that the council would actually have wanted Faith at a different Hellmouth because,
In Cleveland?
yeah, in Cleveland or anywhere, literally anywhere else where there's a Hellmouth, maybe wherever Kendra was, like that Watcher clearly did some good work with Kendra.
Yep.
She was a good Slayer. She just got hypnotized. Like, God damn it, Drusilla. But so once Faith, they feel like they got enough information out of Faith.
And what is Ascension, graduation day, and that the mayor is impervious until graduation day.
Mhm. And the confirmation that Faith is playing both sides.
Yep.
And Faith says something about how like she's the best actress or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Angel says second best. And you just see it click on Faith's Faith face. I can never say that. I can never say it.
They even slow-mo it. They slow-mo her turning around.
And her hair looks fantastic. While it's happening, I'm just like, what do you use? But yeah, it's such a great moment of realization on her face. As like she's turning, everything's working so great for her. And then when Buffy jumps from the wall and goes, gotcha. And then there's that fight that ensues there, and then the Scoobies all rush in as well. Yeah. And it comes down to both Slayers holding
a knife each other's necks.
Yeah.
And Faith kisses Buffy like on her forehead, but there's this moment she just kisses her in her forehead and is like, you're not ready yet, like you're not ready to kill. But it's it's really interesting because I feel like Faith wants to be taken out. Like she is on this self-destructive killer be killed path where I feel like she cares about herself, but she doesn't care about herself, which is why she's willing to mess around with Angelous. Because if she dies, she dies, she wants to ride that line. And
I've been saying that since she jumped before she leapt all the time, which is why she winds up making mistakes where she kills people. Because if you don't care about your own life, she doesn't really care about the lives of anyone else around her either. Because Faith's deepest connection, other than to the mayor now, is to herself. The one other thing that Faith says when she's talking about the mayor was she specifically says, the mayor built this town for demons to feed on.
Yep.
And it's just like, that makes a lot of sense about Sunnydale. Because why else would it function the way it does? And I like that we have they built in a one quick line, the explanation for the entire freaking town.
Yep.
But as soon as Faith runs away, Willow runs to Buffy and is like, are you okay? Like, Willow, the greatest friend of them all. Like, I think when people talk about Buffy, and who is the great relationship of Buffy, it's Willow and Buffy. That friendship is the greatest relationship within the whole show.
Didn't Allison Hannigan say that, they were like, are you Team Spike or Team Angel? And then Allison Hannigan was like, she should have just gotten together with Willow.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know if she said that or not. I don't know. And this is one of the first shows that I ever remember seeing where a female friendship is like that. It's, they are best friends to the core. They are there for each other, even in the worst of circumstances.
November 11th, 2020, Allison Hannigan tweets, actually, Buffy should have dated Willow.
There we go. Although if she did that, we wouldn't have had Willow and Tara.
I know.
Oh, that is just a love for the ages.
Yep. So then we're at the library, and Giles is saying goodbye to the shrouded sorcerer guy, and who says, my debt to you is repaid. Please do not call upon me again. And I think that he's supposed to be Arabic because he says, peace be unto you, and it's also to you, which is what salam alaikum is. So I think it's supposed to be, Arabian mystic sorcerer.
Which would explain then, the thing to keep, sand from blowing in his face.
Yes. And they're like, well, what did you do, for him? And it's something so benign. He introduced him to his wife.
It's so beautiful because we can see our Giles doing that. That was Giles, not Ripper, who did that. Also, I want to know what party that was at.
Yeah, I know.
This is my annual Christmas party. I just thought you two would get along. Um, but yeah, with this whole thing, right after Wesley's like, I'm telling the council. And Giles like, I think you should. They have a rogue slayer that is, the most dangerous thing ever, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley's like, this didn't go over because he's mad because he was kept in the dark. But obviously they're going to keep him in the dark after last time. Like, you don't get to be in on the secret information.
Yep.
Um,
And
and Xander's also upset because he got punched in the face.
yep.
It's a good bruise.
It's a good bruise. And so Faith is very upset that, now that her treachery has come to light, she's lost her friends, her fake friends. And the mayor is like, you don't need them. You got me. I'm your father figure.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to kill them all anyways. And then he tells her that they're going to go for miniature golf.
Mm-hmm.
And at first she's like staring at him like, are you crazy? And then she just kind of laughs like, okay, yeah, like let's just go with the crazy.
And that is a real like father-daughter moment or like a parent-child moment of like, hey, this will make you feel better. And you're like, are you kidding me? This is not gonna make me feel better. And then you're like, actually it will. Yes, let's go.
Yep.
And that is just such a great scene between them. I love. If only the mayor wasn't evil.
Yeah, well, the bear wasn't evil because I really feel like Faith needed that relationship, a parental relationship in her life.
She
And
needed her Giles, and that's her Giles. I mean, evil Giles, mind you, but
I mean, if they had sent a watcher that was not stick up the ass Wesley, if they had sent a father figure watcher or a maternal figure Gwendolyn Post before she was evil, or, what she was, but like I am going to actually train you and take care of you and prioritize you, because Giles was prioritizing Buffy over.
that's why he got fired.
And well, I mean, yes, this is why he got fired, but like I feel like, Buffy was the favorite child, and so Faith didn't get that watcher relationship with Giles. And she never had that watcher relationship like with Wesley. So when, the mayor comes in and starts filling that role, there is a need for that.
Mm-hmm. And Faith might have had that relationship with her initial watcher. We don't know, but
I believe there's a book that was written about Faith's backstory.
There probably is, to be fair. But with I think after what happens with Giles and Buffy's relationship, he's a rogue within the council. Like, they don't want people who have feelings. They just want sociopaths to train slayers. Problem is, when you do that, you wind up with these situations because you can't have someone putting their life at risk constantly, and then their reward is, sir, stick up my ass. Like, you're not going to have good outcomes like what we see here. Wesley and Angel would have been a much better watcher for Faith.
Yep.
Wesley himself has a lot of growing to do. He will get to be a good person.
Yep.
He's just not yet.
I mean, Wesley screws up a whole lot in Angel too.
But we love him there.
But we'll get to that.
We love him in Angel, though.
Buffy goes to Angel, and they're talking about how he was acting like Angelous, and it's bringing up a lot of feelings for Buffy, as it should, as well as the fact that he was making out with Faith in front of her, like, and she knows it was for the greater good, and she knows it was acting, but she still needs to process those emotions.
Yes.
And Angel asks if she's still his girl, and she says always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Angel will always love Buffy for as long as he's alive. Not to say that he won't have feelings for other people, but like his love for her is very pure. And after 200 and however many years, she's the first person he's ever loved romantically. So he's going to be a little hung up on her.
Yep. Yep.
And then we get Earshot.
Mm-hmm. So we are at Earshot. Do you have fun? Okay.
I do. So Joss Whedon wrote 2 scenes in Earshot, and the 2 scenes are the discussion in the English class, and then the confrontation in the clock tower. Those are the only 2 scenes he wrote in this episode. Also, this, according to the Buffy Wikipedia, or Buffy Wiki, which is also the one that told us many episodes ago that Angel was done going to Buffy's house, and he's gone in 3 times since. So take this part with a grain of salt. That this is the only episode where Joyce and Wesley actually meet. Which is interesting, since she is aware now of Buffy being a vampire slayer, and that she has a watcher. And I'm sure she's heard Buffy bemoaning this
new watcher.
Yeah, but we also find out that the school newspaper is called the Sunnydale High Sentinel in this, which I think is kind of a crap name for a newspaper. But we do find that little bit out in this. And the school newspaper also runs obituaries.
Yeah, I know. They're like, the school newspaper is getting depressing. And I was just like, I just skipped straight to the obituary.
Which tells you how many people are dying at this school. That, like, I think, so when we were in high school, there were a few students who did pass away. And when that would happen, they would run like a memorial page in the newspaper in the school.
And do a thing at the end of the year for the yearbook. They would have a, like, in loving memory of, you know.
But they didn't put an obituary in. And can you imagine if, like, the Sunnydale High, like, I think it would be its own book of, like, these are the students who died this year. Specifically before Buffy came to town, it sounds like.
Yep.
But
we start off with Buffy fighting these 2 demons that don't have mouths. And
I have one more fun fact.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
This is one of Sarah Michelle Gellar's favorite episodes. That's it.
Okay. She's fighting these 2 demons. They don't have mouths. One of them manages to escape, and she slays the other one, and it has got like glowy blood, like really luminescent blood. And
like, I imagine this is what ghost jizz looks like.
Do you think about ectoplasmic semen often?
Only when I see this blood.
Okay. Well, anyways, we see the blood absorb into her hand. And they are the next day at the library. They've got a Scooby meeting. Giles is like, I can tell that it is not the demon Azarath, and, you know, for certainty, but that's all I've got. And then Wesley comes in, and he's like, you know, blah blah blah. After much, I can tell you it's not the demon Azarath, and everyone just kind of pieces out. They're like, yep, okay, bye.
And Wesley's just there like, oh. I kind of always wonder too, like, as I'm watching this, at what point Allison Hannigan fell in love with her husband.
Yeah.
Like, is it as he's standing there wounded with his hair like wet and combed? Is that pomade?
It was probably at craft services. They're probably like in between, like, in between scenes, having a scone.
Yes. Oh, I just always wonder that while watching like this season specifically of Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
This
So
is where it
both
had to have happened.
are talking about how Angel was impersonating Angelous, and Buffy's saying, I have concerns and feelings, and Willow's like, well, why don't you talk to him? And Buffy's like, but that's sane, like that.
Reasonable and logical.
Mm-hmm. Um, and so then Percy comes and he's like, I have to reschedule study session, but I've done the reading and I'm going to finish more at lunch. And
Please don't slap me around again. And Willow says she's going to go to Percy's basketball game to support him,
yeah.
since he's been working so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think this kind of happens to a lot of people their senior year. Like, you tend to go to at least a sporting event some point, especially if the team's doing well. I know I did that. Like, we made it to playoffs, something like that. And I had not been to a single. No, that's not true. I hadn't really been to a football game, I think, my entire high school career, but I went to that because it was like a big deal. And I will never forget, in the last 3 seconds of that game, we lost. I have no idea what the score was, but I know we lost at that point. We had been winning, and then we lost. And I just remember all these people I'd known from elementary school just like falling to their knees and crying on the field. It was quite the scene. But I think that happens to a lot of seniors like this. Like, well, I've never done this before. It's a quintessential high school thing. I'm going to go do this thing. You're not stuck with these people much longer. Might as well. Did you have that experience at all? No? Oh,
No, I
just
did
me, Willow, and Xander. Got it.
not. But I mean, I also was very involved in specific clubs that were not athletics and were very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So during times where people would be like, oh, I'm going to go to a football game, I had drama practice, or and then I was working and volunteering on weekends because you got to get that resume up for college admissions. So I had very little leisure time in high school. It was very much everything for getting into the right university. And my one thing that I was allowed to do was I could go to the youth center twice a week, and for like from 8 to 11. 8 to 11 at night was my youth center
Mm-hmm.
twice a week.
I think, yeah, by my senior year, like, I wasn't going there anymore. It like wasn't a thing that I did anymore. I was also so booked up myself. My senior year is when we found out that I have a anxiety disorder because I started taking panic attacks, which they misdiagnosed as asthma. Which, if you ever really want to send your panic attack over the edge, give someone something and say, "Oh, well, when you start feeling this way, take a couple puffs of this and you'll be fine." Then you do that and you're not fine. And so it just continues to get worse. Senior year was fun. I was really hyper and doing a lot of things as well. But yes. Well, I still think a lot of people wind up doing um doing things they normally might not have if it were not for the fact that it is their senior year of high school.
And I do agree with that. That there are things you're like, well, let me get involved with this. Let me go check this out. It's my senior year.
Yeah.
I should do this once.
Yeah.
So Buffy is really bothered by her hand itching a lot. And so she goes to Giles, and Giles is like, oh, that you might have been infected by an aspect of the demon. And of course, she zones right in on the word infect. And she's like, infect? And he's like, huh? Infect? Like, and she like has to get his attention. And she's like, infect? Like, As in contagious? Like, what's going on? And he says he'll do more research. And Buffy is kind of like freaking out because she's going to get a tail or horns or something. And so she's at the pet rally, and Willow asks Buffy what she's doing, and she's checking her head for horns and looking to see if she has a tail. And Willow's face when, like, Willow's like, oh my god face, and she's like, was it a boy demon? And I just feel like that's where my brain would go, would be like, yeah. Oh my god, like,
are you gonna get a demon dick? Although I would probably just say, are you gonna get a demon dick?
But it's Willow.
And it was also, I don't think you could say demon dick on the WB at that time. But yeah, and then that's when we have the scene where also Xander sees Wesley like watching Cordelia, which is a bit creepy, but it's also problematic what Xander says.
Yep.
If you just left out the my Cordy.
Oh, and doesn't Oz kind of like,
you're a complicated man. Yep. Yeah.
But I mean, so yeah, he's again, feelings, behaviors. Mm-hmm. And to like have a feeling of jealousy or possessiveness, but to keep it to yourself is one thing. To have a feeling and then immediately start spouting off to the people around you those feelings is another. Mm-hmm. And
again, though, if you feel that your friend is being, what's the word I'm looking for? Groomed, or like someone, speak up. Yes. Say like, hey, that person is an inappropriate age for you. Hey, isn't this real creepy what this old guy is doing, or this old lady?
How old is Wesley supposed to be in this?
In his 20s, definitely. But like, so it's not old, but like old for a high schooler. Like I think he's probably right out of college. So 24, 25, 23, 23, 24, somewhere in there. Right. Like he is clearly fresh out of school. Like that's his attitude. Like, I just got out of the best Watcher Academy.
Uh-huh.
I have my fresh degree. I just got done reading the handbook. Everything's fine. I know everything. Because he also has that I'm young and I just finished school, I know everything to him. Not that everyone gets that, but Wesley does. And he's also I think he's also young enough that the council still really has him under their thumb. He sees them as an authority figure, and he really respects authority. I think one of the problems with Giles was he was older. He had been the Ripper. Like him and authority don't necessarily always mesh. Like he has no problem challenging it. And they were looking for someone who would just fall in line, and that's who Wesley is at this point.
So Alexis Denisov was born in 1966. So he would have been 33?
But he's definitely playing someone younger.
Definitely playing someone younger. I wonder if they have...
Because Cordelia is not, like, Cordelia does not look like a high school student.
No. And she was, again, it's the whole, like...
She looks fantastic now. Like, not that she didn't look great then, but she looks, like, great for her age now.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes. So... Willow tries, or no, we go then to Buffy patrolling, and again, she's checking for horns or whatever, and in a mirror, an angel is behind her, and of course he didn't show up in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And he's just checking in on her, and he reminds her that sometimes demons do exaggerate their powers, trying to like calm her down.
Yeah.
So basically the best Buffy can hope for right now is demon locker room talk. But you know, Angel also tries to make it feel better by saying he'll always love Buffy, even if she, you know, is covered in slime.
Yep. And she's like, liked it right up to that last part.
Because she's worried that she's going to be covered in slime.
Mm-hmm.
Although the demon didn't appear to be covered in slime, so there's that. So then Xander, Willow, and Oz are talking about the game the next day, but they don't want to make Buffy feel bad that she missed out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And during this, Buffy hears Xander's thoughts,
Yep.
but does not realize she's hearing his thoughts at
Well,
first.
because he's turned away, and she hears Xander's voice say, "I wonder if she and Wesley have kissed." And she responds to it because she thinks he's talked out loud, and he says, "You just read my mind." And she realizes that he had not said that out loud.
And she had just read his mind.
Yep. And so she's walking down the hall, and she starts hearing thoughts, like individual thoughts, including one guy who's like, "Oh, look at that Buffy Summers." And it starts off with like, "She's so beautiful," and she's like, "Ooh," and then he starts taking it to a graphic point, and
she's like, "Oh."
Yep.
Which, anyone surprised? No.
Nope.
No. Buffy is the one that's surprised.
I really would not want anyone in my head because I go down some naughty paths.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of pressure. Like I have worked very hard to build some form of a filter. And I don't need someone seeing that there isn't actually one in my brain.
Oh, I mean, I barely have a filter. I am like a Cordelia. What is in my head comes out my mouth so fast.
Oh.
My husband actually says, how does he describe me? My short wife who's all limbs and no torso and no filter.
Are you short?
So I have a very short torso comparative to my body. I'm 5'6". But if my torso were proportional to the rest of my body, I would be 5'11" or like 6 feet. I have the same length limbs as my siblings, but like no torso compared to it. So my little sister has like actually slightly shorter limbs than me, and she's 5'11", and my brother Mike, who's 6'1", has the same length arms and legs, but actually has a torso.
You know, it's so funny. I definitely thought, so like, I know you've said before that you're the shortest of your siblings. I'm shocked that Mike is 6'1", and I can't even begin to tell you how many times like I've seen him and, seen him standing up. So, but I'm just like, no, Jasmine's taller. It just must be your personality.
Oh yes, big personality.
You have tall person energy.
Long limbs.
It's so you can hug more people when it's not COVID.
Yep. But like, yeah, my wingspan and my legs are just very long, and then there's this teeny tiny little torso.
You're like a marshmallow with legs and arms.
Gumby limbs.
Where the hell were we?
We are at Buffy figuring out that she is psychic and going to talk to Giles about it, and reading Giles's mind and being very excited about it. And then going to Angel to try to use her powers on Angel, and it does not work. But he realizes what she's doing, although she's being so like Faith. And she like peers into his forehead. Faith peering into the forehead.
And he knows about the aspect of the demon thing, so he puts 2 and 2 together. Yep. And he explains, much like the mirror, she's not going to get anything.
But then he specifically tells her if you have a question, ask me,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me. And this is one of those things like where he is an adult and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, let's communicate. And he tells her, I have had sex with lots and lots and lots of people, lots of bad girls, but in my 243 years, I've only ever loved exactly one person. And Buffy's like, who? Me? It's me, right?
Mm-hmm.
give the young girl reassurance.
Yes. Yes. Um, and before she actually goes to Angels, she goes to her English class.
Yep.
And this is the scene that Joss wrote. I cannot talk today or any day, if I'm being honest. But so they're talking about Othello, and Buffy is, using this newfound power and really pissing off like this one teacher's pet, who now wants Buffy dead by the end of the class because Buffy has all of this information and actually quotes parts basically of her.
Her teacher's dissertation.
Did you hear that?
Hey there.
That was Oliver the cat just taking and pushing stuff right over. Thanks, Olive. I'll clean that up later.
But this is the conversation of, who is Iago to Othello? Who is the little dark voice inside you whispering in your ear, that only you can hear and only you can understand? And the part that feeds on your deepest fears and insecurities, and which is true. I think a lot of people do have an annoying running inner dialogue that's just trying to crush our self-esteem.
And if you're a RuPaul's Drag Race fan, you know that RuPaul calls that your inner saboteur, and talks about that quite extensively throughout. And that's what Iago really is the inner saboteur, but as a character in a play.
Mm-hmm.
And so also Willow, the best part is Buffy hears Willow be shocked that Buffy did the reading.
And understood the reading.
That's the part. Buffy understood this, when we also know that Buffy did really well on her SATs. So clearly she has a good comprehension level, because that's something that they test for pretty extensively on the SATs.
Yep.
So she really shouldn't be that upset. But then later we're back in school, and this is when Buffy starts to see some of the bad side of having of being able to read people's minds. And Xander is upset, and he's the first one to run away because he's like, oh God, she's gonna hear how much I think about sex.
And so he's like trying to do math, and he does every single math problem wrong.
Yep.
He's like, what was it? 4 times 5 is 30. And he's like, sex, Buffy sex, and then runs away. I love that Oz is having these like intense, deep thoughts and just goes, like.
Yeah, like he's in total philosophical mode. And Willow's like, she's not gonna need me anymore. She's gonna know Oz better than I know Oz. And like Buffy's trying to reassure Willow, which doesn't reassure Willow because of the hearing.
We hear Willow's inner anxieties.
Yeah.
Whereas, we've got, so we have the inner thoughts of everybody. We've got Cordelia. She thinks something, she says it. We've got Oz thinking very, very deep thoughts and saying nothing. We have Xander, who's sex. And then we have Willow, who is having all this emotional processing going on, like emotional analysis, internal analysis, constantly going at the same time. And she's very vocal in her head.
She's definitely concerned that she's not going to be needed anymore. Like that is the overarching theme.
But I think it was very different. The different inner voices that everyone displays.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we have Wesley, who is thinking about Miss Chase. And
Mhm.
then I'm a naughty, naughty man. And
Mhm.
like Buffy just does the like, I'm leaning forward. I've got my chin on my wrist, on my hand, and I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
watching and makes eye contact with him.
And then he runs away too. Like it's just a scene of everyone running away until it's basically just Giles and
Yep.
Buffy.
And like
Um,
Oz doesn't like freak out. Oz is just like, I'm gonna follow the redhead. Like, okay.
like always.
Buffy is me, Buffy is everyone. Bye guys.
Mhm.
Like,
Um, and so Buffy then goes into the lunchroom, and it's becoming a lot. But
yep.
in it becoming a lot, she hears, this time tomorrow I'll kill you all, right before Buffy collapses. And like completely everyone thinks that Buffy's lost her damn mind, but also this is Sunnydale, so they're not that not used to it.
Yep.
So Buffy, they bring her right outside, and like
Yep.
they're all just gathered around here, and Cordelia's part of this group. And Cordelia actually said, like, I told them not to move you. You probably have like a serious injury now. I think, like, I forget what it was.
Injury.
Yeah, but Cordelia's right. Like, you're not supposed to move someone who has had something like that happen. Although Giles, rightfully in this case, is just like she needs to get away from all these people.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they like Giles realizes, like, if we don't find a cure for this, it's going to drive her insane.
Yep.
And Buffy also hears that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the only time Giles really slips with his thoughts around Buffy. He is very controlled because there are things that he does not want Buffy to know.
Yep.
But
Like
he is
what happens with Joyce.
yes. But Giles is able to control all of that, which nobody else is. He is the only one that has but when you think about the fact, like, that he was tortured for so long as well, like, we know he has mental fortitude. Like, he's actually, the council's stupid for getting rid of him because he can withstand torture.
Yep.
Like, secrets are good with him. So they take Buffy at this point, tells everyone also that what she heard. And Xander says, who hasn't idly thought about taking out the place with a semi-automatic? And that's one of the reasons why this episode was pulled for a while, because Columbine happened like the week it was supposed to air. And for those who don't know what Columbine is, we had other school shootings in the United States. And Oz mentions this too. Like, at this point, it's bordering upon fashionable or trendy. But Columbine kind of changed it. Like, that was, I'm not exactly sure why that made, I think technology was different in the world. So that was one of the reasons why it caught so much. And I think the death toll was higher. But that's when we got parents saying that, like, it's the music that the youth are listening to. It's not the music that the youth are listening. Hello, baby, are listening to. Hello.
At the time, it was the deadliest school shooting in history. With the amount of people that they took out, with the access to guns that they had. I mean, previously it would have been like a handgun where maybe like 4 or 5 people, but they killed 15 people, I believe. And
Wally Lamb actually writes a really great book from the point of view of someone whose spouse is killed, like a teacher whose spouse is also a teacher who was killed during Columbine. But the whole thing is really well done. So that's why this is pulled. Like, he specifically mentions semi-automatic weapons. And obviously when they were writing that, obviously they're not actually psychic. They didn't know that was going to
Yep.
happen, although it was probably a logical conclusion. Sorry, Oliver is just like wreaking havoc.
Oh,
um
hello, Oliver. What you doing?
he's like, I want attention, and if I don't get it, I'm just going to wreck everything in the general vicinity.
So Buffy sends off the Scoobies to kind of figure out who is in the cafeteria at that time to figure out who the killer is.
Yeah.
Giles takes her home. Joyce is being very, very mothering. Let me get you a pillow. Let me get you a blanket. And she's like, why do you want to stay? And of course, it's the pink elephant. You don't think about pink elephant. All you can think about is a pink elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, she's like, you had sex with Giles? On the hood of a police car?
What?
Twice? Like,
Mm-hmm. And that apparently was written in because some people still weren't sure that that had happened from watching Band Candy.
and she was like, it was the candy. We were teenagers. Now, again, this is a point where when Buffy is out of commission, Willow takes charge.
Yes.
Because she makes up like assignments for everybody to go. And they go start like interviewing people. And of course, Xander is interviewing like cheerleaders and stuff about their dating interests. Cordelia, being Cordelia, literally just asks, "Are you planning on massacring people?" It's for the yearbook. But they cannot find Freddie, and we see Freddie being a little skittish, trying to avoid odds.
And Freddie is the editor of the school newspaper, who it's been noted has been, making things really dark and not the brightest chap.
Yep.
I mean, he's smart, but he's not like cheery.
Yes, not the most chipper.
Mm-hmm.
So Giles and Wesley have found a cure, but it requires the heart of the other demon. Mm-hmm. So Angel, of course, goes running through to kill the demon in the cemetery to get the heart to bring to her.
As Joyce is just watching Buffy, like she can't do anything. She's just watching Buffy suffer.
And so there's a scene where Buffy is at her window and she can hear voices from the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you listen to the dialogue, but one of them is a woman saying, I can't believe he thinks I don't know. And the guy going, I'm totally getting away with this. Mm-hmm. And her being like, basically it's a back and forth. The woman knows that the guy's having an affair and the guy thinks he's getting away with it and is feeling so pleased with himself. Mm-hmm. And
there's a lot of things going on. And it's the idea also of like, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Like there's also a female voice who is trying to convince herself about drinking. One's about children. Like there's things that are going on in homes.
Just one glass will be fine. Well, I've already opened the bottle. Might as well finish the bottle. Like, stuff like that. Really, deep, dark stuff happening behind all the closed doors in her neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Stuff you wouldn't want people knowing about going on in your head. Mm-hmm. So one of the people on Xander's list is Larry. And so Xander approaches Larry, and this is when we find out that Larry is completely out. Like, he's completely out of the closet. He said he's so out, his grandmother is fixing him up with guys, which is great. Like, that is really great that his family has supported him. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important that message is out there as well, especially like in the 90s.
Yeah. And it also has changed Larry's entire behavior, where Larry is no longer aggressive and no longer bullying people. He seems very at peace with himself and also very at peace with Xander. He's like, it seems like you're still struggling, like, and of course Xander isn't gay, but Larry doesn't know that. And Larry's being very supportive. And, I think that it does show how deep it can wound you to have to hide who you are.
And that weight being lifted. He's a completely different person. He's a much better person.
Yep. A
Um,
much less toxic person.
yes. So, and then again, we see Freddy hiding from Oz, like actually hiding now we see.
Yep.
And then we have Giles and Joyce watching Buffy again, waiting for Angel to get there with the cure with the heart. And he does, and it's again, I think this is the only time we see Angel out in the daylight with like the tarp blanket thing that Spike will become famous for later.
Yep.
And he runs in and he gives Buffy the antidote because she starts fighting him and he's the only one strong enough to administer it.
Yep. The glowy heart antidote.
And then we see Jonathan in the clock tower with the rifle. Like we just get a glimpse of it. I don't think we actually see that it's Jonathan, but we see. No, we do because it's in my notes as she gets the antidote, and then Jonathan in the clock tower with rifle, and then Buffy wakes up.
So they manage to finally get Freddy, and Freddy's like, "Are you going to beat me up?" And they're like, threatening mass murder, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were upset about my review of Dingoes Ate My Baby," where it sounds like they have sausages. They play their instruments like they have sausages attached to their fingers, and Oz is like, "No, that's fair."
It's fair review. So it's not. We know now it's not Freddy, and that's who they thought it was. And Cordelia like picks up a piece of paper and like idly reads it about like, and tomorrow you'll all know. But it's actually Jonathan's suicide note.
Yeah.
But they don't think that. They think it's his murder note. So Buffy shows back up at the school. She can't hear voices, but she needs to find whoever is going to do this. And they're looking around, and like all the Scoobies are looking for Jonathan. Xander finds Jello. Buffy's the one who actually like happens to look up at the clock tower and sees Jonathan, and she does this thing where she runs up the side like of the stairs, jumps up onto the
right on up.
She parkours all over the building, and everyone notices it but doesn't really like. They're like, "Oh, look at that." Continuing on with our day.
Nancy's like, "I could have done that." Nancy is having some jealousy issues about Buffy right now.
Oh yeah, and she's also been plotting Buffy's murder as well because she's pissed about that whole Othello scene.
Here's what I don't understand. The gun that Jonathan is using is not a gun for suicide. It has a scope on it. Like
that just might have been the only gun he had access to.
But like you have to put the scope on the gun. Why would he put the scope on the gun to shoot himself in the head?
Because they're trying to make it look like he's the killer.
I know.
But yeah, there's no other reason for that. I mean, he might be using that gun because that's the only gun he has access to. Also, it's not going to be real easy to shoot yourself with that. You're going to have to do the thing in your mouth. But yeah, Buffy basically, gets into the clock tower and she talks to him and he says like, "Stop saying my name like we're friends." And then Buffy's completely honest. She's like, "We're not friends. Like most people don't even see you." And she's very honest with him. And she's like, "Heads up, everyone is ignoring your pain because they're so busy with their own." And she's able to talk him down. And then once she gets the gun away from him, which he hands over, she finds out then that he was not going to kill everyone, just himself. So there's still a murderer out there that they have to find. And thankfully,
find Xander.
Thankfully, Xander and his food lust has again pointed out a killer. So as he is going to shove all the Jello into his mouth, he like literally is about to shove it in and sees the lunch lady just pouring rat poison into, and it's such a great scene, like them looking at each other and her looking at the rat poison and then him being like, "Ah," and running out of there and just like throwing food out of everyone's hands. And
Mhm.
she comes after him then, like trying to kill him. Yeah, like lady, the jig's up. Like if you kill him, everyone's gonna know anyway. And she has a very strange voice.
Oh, and she's like, you eat and you eat and you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Vermin.
Oh, vermin.
She's the lunch lady. They eat what she serves them, and so Buffy's like, this is not going to be solved with logic. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she basically intervenes and she has to kick the lunch lady's ass.
yep. Which
Um,
she's able to do fairly easily because lunch lady is a human.
yes, yes. And like she's a little bit, she's probably middle-aged as well. So I mean, once she's knocked down, she's not really getting back up. Um, and Buffy says, you know, it's nice to help in a non-slaying way, referring to Jonathan. Um, and then at the very end, we see Giles and Buffy walking outside when she tells him about that's nice to help in a non-slaying way. And they're, bantering back and forth. And then Buffy tells Giles that she knows that he had sex with her mother. Other students hear it. Like you see that like students can go, huh? And Giles walks face first into a tree.
Yep.
And that is perhaps the best moment of the whole episode.
Oh, it was great comic after like a pretty deep, intense like episode, dealing with some heavy stuff. You know, having this quick moment at the end kind of resets us and gets us ready for choices next week, and then the prom.
Mm-hmm.
The prom, which is mentioned in Earshot.
Yeah.
That prom is coming up. So yeah, but so again, next week we're talking about choices and the prom.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you very much for just Jossin with me this week.
Yes, thank you as well. And Olive wants to say hello to everyone and say he's sorry for all of the trouble he has caused this episode.
He doesn't look really sorry. He does not look really sorry at all.
He's very sorry, aren't you, Olive? But we will see you next week. Oliver will not be allowed in the room. All right.
Okay, see you guys in the Hellmouth.